What's up guys, Mikegravia here and welcome back to part 2 in a 3-part series of building your own buttress tree for your vivarium. To create our piece we'll be using the Polygem Zoopoxy 307 LITE. It comes in 3 parts, A, B and the thickening agent, which is super important in this process. A quick checklist of things you're going to need: some nylon gloves, this stuff gets super messy, some aluminium foil, and a bucket. So take that aluminium foil and press it into an old baking tray or cooking sheet, just something you can steal from your wife and she doesn't notice that it's gone. This will be used to store our clay once we mix it. Not necessary, but I like to prep my workstation with a plastic drop cloth. The first step in this process is going to be putting the thickening agent into an old tote, and you're going to get 2 paint sticks, paint stirrers from Home Depot or Lowe's, and you're going to use one stick to grab it out of the bucket and the other to push it off the stick. As you can see, I'm dipping it in the powder to help push it off because, like I said, this stuff is super sticky. Repeat the process for part B. I usually grab about a patty's worth, a meat patty's worth of clay before I start mixing them together. Once you have the desired amount of clay, put some of that powder on your hands and start folding. You're going to fold this about 20 to 30 times until you get one solid gray color. Part A is light color and part B is a darker gray. And you'll see by the end of this that we get one consistent color by the end. One of the most common questions I get asked is, do I need the thickening agent? Yes, do not skip this step. It is super hard to mix without it. Now, some items that are going to be super helpful in your application. Grab yourself a small spray bottle, some dollar store brushes, and steal some of your girls' old makeup brushes. These things come in super helpful, and I like to let mine get all messed up. It helps to create some deeper grooves later in the process. And I grabbed some cheap silicone clay tools from Amazon. Let's get into the application. So yeah, as you can see, I have the bucket of water there ready. That's going to be really important in this process. Each time you need to grab a piece of clay, make sure you place your hand, your fingertips into the water to make sure that you are not getting any clay stuck to your hands. This stuff will stick to your hands. It's super messy, but it is super malleable as well, which is why I love working with this product. What I like to do when I grab a piece is kind of roll it into a little ball and then flatten it out to about 1/4 inch, and then I'll place it over my structure and overlap it slightly over some of the pieces I've already laid down. You have about a working time of about 40 minutes to 60 minutes before it starts to get firm, but it's super easy to add new clay over old clay, which I can show you later in the video. Once you're finished applying that first batch of clay, grab that dollar store brush, dip it in the water, and you're just gonna literally paint the clay with water, and that's just gonna transition all the pieces you've laid down together into one smooth piece. There's really no secret to this part. It's just painting like you would a wall or anything else. Once you've smoothed out your clay, grab that makeup brush and make lines across the buttress root. Just go back and forward, and you can press a little deeper into it this time because we're trying to create some grooves to make it look obviously like a buttress root. It doesn't have to be perfect at this point because we're going to go over it again with another brush in just a minute, and I'll show you some little tricks and tips to create some natural looking grooves and divots and chips in the bark. So like I said, you don't want it to be absolutely perfect. You want to leave little marks, and sometimes I'll just grab the edge of the brush and kind of flip it against the clay and then brush over it. and that helps give some natural divots, because if you look at a tree, it's not perfect, and we're not trying to make it look perfectly smooth, because then it's going to look unnatural. So once you're happy with your grooves, we're going to make some deeper ones. We're going to get an X-Acto knife, and we're just going to dip it in the water again and slide it around, and just pressing a little deeper this time to create some deeper grooves in the bark. Do that 2 or 3 times. Again, I'm just kind of freeballing this right now, but you can use a picture for reference, which I do occasionally. So I'm going to repeat that process several more times. I probably did this 4 times in total to cover the whole structure. As you can see, I'm using my brushes again to get my detail, smooth it out, using the makeup brush to create those little grooves in the buttress root. This angle gives you a better view of the detail that these brushes can make, and the real detail though is going to come out when we paint this in part 3. So yeah, look out for part 3. That'll be painting and dealing with the base. So obviously we don't want any of this pink foam showing when we are ready to install this in the vivarium. So I'm going to take those silicone tools that I bought off Amazon. I think I got a pack for about 10 bucks, and I got 10 tools of different sizes and different shapes. And they're good just to create some interest in the wood, in the bark. I'm being really random with it right now, but you can use a reference picture, as I mentioned before. I'm also going to grab that X-Acto knife again and just cut some deeper grooves into the buttress root. And again, I'm just kind of free-willing this right now, but you can use a reference picture if that helps. If it kind of pulls up a little bit, just grab that brush and kind of smooth it over again. Sometimes the clay will clump up a little bit on the knife. So yeah, grab that brush and smooth it out a little bit. And here we are, we're getting towards the end now. And I've just added some smaller roots to the bottom of the tree just to create a little bit more depth and interest. Used exactly the same process as before: foam, Zoopoxy, using the cheap dollar tree brush to smooth it out. And now, as you can see, I'm just now using that makeup brush to add some deeper lines into the clay. I also like to press in to some of the areas just to give it a little bit more interest and texture, so it's not all the same texture. And there you have it, we're done. I am super excited to paint this piece, so please like, subscribe, and hit the notifications for part 3. Thanks for watching.